the moment that the money becomes your master, that means you've elevated it above other things, above people, above God, above even your own life, then you find that it propels you to do certain things that are evil. Yeah. But in and of itself, money is a tool. It's actually supposed to be a servant to you. And that's what I was saying. Life cannot be separated with money. However, you must have clarity of life first for money to find its position. Trading is just buying and selling and making sure you buy low and sell high. But it's usually a learning curve to become an expert. I do encourage people to sit in a proper class and actually learn how to do it. What I discourage is anyone who tells you, bring your money, I'll do it for you. Especially because this person must be licensed by the Capital Markets Authority to be able to do it on your behalf. One of the things that mothers struggle with is the fact that they have to work or not be there. And so if you have that guilt, mom guilt, and even maybe every morning you're leaving and you leave while your child is crying, what happens is that they try to make up. They make up for their lack of physical presence by just buying things. Especially when they are young, they're small. Even fathers tend to do that because for some reason they're more excused for not being there, and some of them make it up by overcompensate, number one, for their lack of physical and emotional presence and support.
We have been told you're supposed to be high quality people. I'm supposed to be a high quality man, a high quality woman, but you're told for you to achieve that you have to spend money. So how are we going to measure how to be a high quality person without losing money or wasting money?
Don't go from 0 to 100. I feel like probably defining high quality in a more structured way, you might realize it might not even be financially, it might not require financial implication. It could mean, let me offer my service for free. Like, I know I can do this, and this person, they need this service, so I'll be in their environment, in a place where they can see me and I'm offering something they want and they're seeing my value.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of LNS. My name is Lynn Ngugi, and as always, we get to meet for another beautiful conversation where we get to do the three things we are doing this season. We are learning, unlearning, and relearning. Today, we are going to talk about the bad money habits. Not sure if it's bad money habits or weak money habits that are dragging you behind, but I have an amazing expert on the show. She's coming back for the third time on our network, and this is just an amazing thing when I see our guests coming back and they continue educating us and sharing their knowledge. I don't take that for granted, so I'm about to let her introduce herself. As I said, she is the expert here so that we can allow her to walk us through this conversation. But before I do that, I acknowledge we have a lot of new subscribers on our platform. Almost 10,000 of you are here from our video featuring DJ Bwakali, and I do not take that for granted. You've watched our work, you've subscribed, and you guys have actively participated in making sure that we get to 1.27 million subscribers. So kudos to you, and I hope you love being here. And also my incredible team that gets their time to film these episodes. I always say you get to see me in front of the camera, but it takes an entire tribe here to be able to put this work together. So I appreciate you. And of course, our amazing partners at Golden Dreams Land and Properties Limited. Thank you so much for coming through. I see you guys are getting those pieces of land, so I appreciate you. And I've said, if investing in a piece of land is what you want to do right now, why don't you check them out? They have great properties in Matu. They have Baraka Gardens there. In Makutano, as I said, almost sold out. I'll find out how many plots are remaining. They're in Success Gardens, so check them out. And in Masinga, they do have Joy Gardens, and I hope I get to go there soon. But if the coastal region is your vibe, why don't you check out the Precious Gardens in Malindi? We've been there. It's an incredible place to invest in. But I always say, land is a very sensitive thing, so make sure that you also do your due diligence on your end. But I can tell you, these people are amazing, and I hope you get to invest with them as well. They say title deed is their DNA, so msikue na shaka, you will get that title deed. And now, of course, without further ado, please allow me to let our guest reintroduce herself on our platform and walk us through today's conversation. Hello.
Hello.
We are matching.
I know.
You did this intentionally.
I was thinking about it and I was like, what are the chances that Lynn will be wearing black?
You're thinking about it. You're still thinking about it. Today you had hopes.
I had high hopes.
You had high hopes in your uniform.
But then I saw the interview with Evelyn Ngugi. I was like, but it's just fine.
This is the uniform, honey. But I hope you love it.
I
Nice
love
seeing you here.
Good.
Again, you look amazing.
Thank you so much.
Loving the dress, the accessory, the hair. And
Asante.
it's always nice to have you here.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
I know we're about to get into a very beautiful conversation. You always leave us with very great lessons. But I know we featured you here a couple of times. But in case someone is catching up with you for the very first time, maybe could you introduce yourself and remind them what you do?
Awesome.
Yes.
So my name is Juliet. I am a money coach and I'm the founder of PESA Savvy. So through PESA Savvy, we help to propel the gospel of financial literacy. We do that through coaching, we do that through workshops, we do that through webinars and courses and different kind of tools that people can use to manage their money. And essentially, I call myself the money whisperer. Like literally everything you want to know about money, I'm the person who you can talk to. And it's such a pleasure to be back here.
But you are. But let me ask you, I don't know if I've ever asked you this before. Why are money conversations important?
Ooh, I think money conversations are important because you cannot separate life and money. Life, like the life you're living, is elevated and it is made better by money. Like there's even Bible tells us that money opens, certain doors. Like it's so if you're trying to separate even the life you're living from money, then you find that you're struggling, and so. If you focus too much, or rather alone, only on life and not have money in that conversation, then you find that like there's a missing piece of the puzzle. Secondly, while it is such an important life skill, it's not available to many people. And so you find that by the time somebody is having money in their hands, that's when they realize, oh, I am not equipped.
Yes.
I'm not sufficiently knowledgeable about how to use it until you make several mistakes. Then you go back to the drawing board. So I feel like those are the two reasons why money conversations are really important. And the pursuit of it.
The pursuit of it. And I love that you've said the majority of us, even when we get our breakthrough, you get the money, but you are not equipped to handle the money. So you'll be like, what have I not eaten? You go eat there. What dress did I crave for? You go buy that dress, right? What decor do I need in my house? So by the time you're looking back, you're like, man, I had 100K in That's common to majority of us.
It's very common. And sometimes I think people think that they know. I was talking to one of my clients who, because she's on this journey, she's like, my younger brother cannot make the same mistakes I'm making, because now he's just gotten a job and he's earning even 3-4 times more than her, and now she's like, he needs to come and do this course with you, but every month he's making one mistake, another mistake, and she has had a conversation with him. So it's not like a Jewy, but so there's a head knowledge, but then there's just that understanding and understanding how these things that I'm doing, the ripple effect it has. Because I can tell you, hey, that's not how to manage money. Like, you can do better. You can do this. You can do this. But unless you actually sit down and your eyes are open, then you won't even see the need for it. So it's not just. Because some people will listen to a show like this or many other people and think, I know that. But qua ground, what's actually are you doing? And there's usually a disconnect.
Okay, great. But I know we are about to get into our conversation of the day. No, that's
why
you
feel
guys
like we have already started.
For real, we have. So can I ask this one? I know
ahead.
it might be a bit out of context, but when they say money is the root cause of all evil, is that true? And is money something we need to look at it from an evil perspective?
No, actually that verse is usually
misquoted.
It is the love of money that is the root of evil. Money in itself is a tool, and like I think if you put it in the position it needs to be, then it's not problematic. So the moment that the money becomes your master, right? That means you've elevated it above other things, above people, above God, above even your own life. Then you find that it propels you to do certain things that are evil. Yeah. So even whether it's in pursuit, especially in pursuit of it, so you are looking to do, what can I do to make money? What can I do to, all of those things. So you find either people do illegal things, immoral things, so that they get it. But in and of itself, money is a tool. It's actually supposed to be a servant to you. And that's what I was saying. Life cannot be separated with money. However, you must have clarity of life first for money to find its position. So like you must be able to say, this is what I want out of my life. Like these are my core values, and my core values require my life to look like this. Like on a day-to-day basis, I go to work in the morning, I come home in the evening, I want to stay with my children or with my loved ones. I want to go to the gym, I want to eat well. That's life, right? And when you're clear about that, then now money comes and the question money should answer is, how do I give you this life that you have then envisioned? Then it works as a servant to you because you have a direction you're going, money serves you that way. But when you don't have that clarity, then money can come and go, and then unajiuliza ilienda wapi, because it didn't know what it was coming to do. Right? So it just slips through your fingers. And then when it comes like that, and you don't know, it didn't know what it was coming to do, and then it comes a lot, it can crush you. Because then it comes with force and energy when it's a lot like that. Essentially when people, especially those, rags to riches stories, imekuja nyingi, but you're not stable yourself, your life, you don't know the direction you're headed, which is why it often happens with young people. If you're like a sports person, you get money, you still don't have clarity, then that's what happens. And then I always say, kama your life has a lot of madogo than you. Like it's not mixed up. It's mixed up. Yes. Money will look like that. Your money will look like that as well. So like, cause it's following you, right? So you're unstable, you're unclear, you don't know where you're going. Money comes and starts looking like that as well. But when there's clarity, najua, this is what my life is about. This is what I want to achieve. This is what my purpose is in 5 years, in 3 years, in 10 years. Money starts to find its purpose in your life. So when that doesn't happen, that's when it now becomes the root cause of so much evil. Exactly.
But away from the love of it being the root cause of evil, we are I'm vouching for everyone to experience wealth and money and all the desires of their hearts, right? But I was so shocked that when I was preparing for this interview, some of the things that people might not know, these are negative or bad money habits. You know it is, but you don't know the extent to which this can actually drag your life behind. When you are doing it, you are like, okay, it's nothing much. But when it accumulatively, you find out later on in a year or two, I'm so behind because of a couple of habits that I have acquired in the process. So could you walk us through some of these habits that are likely to, these money habits that are likely to drag us behind, and also how do we come out of it?
Can we start with the simplest one and the most common one, which is overspending? So, like, first of all, let's agree that money must be spent. That's based on just that foundation we've set, that it's a tool. It's a tool to offer you your life, the value, a lifestyle that you desire. So when the lifestyle is clear, you can say money will come, it needs to pay school fees, it needs to pay for my gym membership, it needs to move me around. Like that's the purpose that it serves. So when we say you are overspending, it means that there's a threshold that you have passed. So there's what money should do, but then there's kuna vile umeenda beyond and above and beyond. But then it's not the same for everyone, because when I look at Lynn and how she's spending, based on how she earns, I might say she's overspending, but to somebody else, that's now normal spending. And it's a function of your earning capacity, your financial goals, and then your lifestyle expenses. So when you find a balance between the two, these three things, then you can determine whether or not you are overspending. So one of the reasons people don't overspend, for me, financial goals are like your long-term plans, right? And so even things like investment for a certain season of your life, those fall under financial goals. Educating yourself or your children, all those are long-term that might need time to work through, okay? And then your expenses, your day-to-day, your rent, your transport, your food, all those are day-to-day expenses. So what happens is that when people don't have this vision, right, then a lot of the money that comes just goes to spending, right? And so that's how when now you lose that income, then you find that you don't have a safety net because you didn't think that I need a safety net. And so that for me would qualify as overspending, regardless of who you are. So if we look at that balancing act, then we can actually say that you're overspending. Now there are certain things, especially in our generation right now, I was actually trying to think about it, and I was asking myself, do you think we live in a generation that now has propelled a lot of overspending that is unusual, right, in comparison with other generations, for example? Do you feel like this particular generation that we are in right now spends more just because of the social factors, economic factors, and things like that? Is it a possibility that we are actually spending more because of the generation we live in? And I think it is. It is.
Don't you think maybe some people are also, you know, the way majority of us grew up, you even feared money. But maybe now this is a generation of si pesa ni yangu na nikikufa kesho. Like what? Like si pesa ni yangu nikikufa kesho.
Yeah. Didn't the other generation think like that?
Did they? No.
You don't think so?
I feel like they were so much into saving,
and investing
that they even denied you some of the
what
like
would be
pizza. Like I want to have some pizza, I want to have some cake, have some cake. You get it? But for them it was more of wacha tukule githeri the whole week because we are saving for something.
And then that changed. That changed in this generation. So what are those things that have happened that even propel? Maybe it is a function of people kind of counteracting, you know, their experience, like
a response,
because you're like, I couldn't have been denied all these things, and then now I have the money where I can access these things. Why would I deny myself? You get? So I think that's actually partly true. Partly it's also the increased messaging, information of just, you know, the old adage of keeping up with the Joneses. Now the Joneses are your influencers, are your friends online. So it almost feels like you can be inundated with a lot of information that makes you feel like your life is substandard because you're not buying this and you're not buying this and you're not going for staycation and you're not buying a material girl dress, you know, and you're not doing this and you're not, so especially if you hear it a lot, right, then it becomes information that now becomes your reality. Because part of what actually affects now the behavior is messaging. What are you feeding yourself? And now when you expose yourself to all these stories, all these people, it can just feel like, Kwanza the other day I was looking at content on TikTok and I was looking at this trend of fridge restocking.
Yes. Ooh, wait, Hey guys, I also went and looked at my fridge like, what kind of life am I? What kind of life am I? But you can feel the pressure. Because you also go and open your fridge and you're like, maybe.
Like when did it used to be okay that the fridge now just has leftover for yesterday, you know, maybe a bottle of soda there, some milk. So hizi unapata mtu ameweka 10 tins of Sprite and 10 packets of juice and 10, like it's just excessive. It's actually excessive. And that kind of messaging, if that's what you are inundated with all the time, then it's going to tell you that you haven't met the standard until you can stock your fridge like that. And so it pushes the messaging of spending. And marketers, they know these things. And they keep using actually the psychology of consumerism.
Yes.
And they use it so that you can spend. As a business person, I want my product to sell.
Good.
So and the capitalistic society that we live in requires that people buy. It requires that so that businesses exist, and when businesses exist, the economy is sustained.
Yeah.
And so there's a place that there's need to buy, right? So now the question you ask yourself is this a thing that I need? Is it a thing that I want? Is it something I've been told I must have, right? Because 1 minute you didn't even know it existed, then the next, I must have it.
Yeah.
I must have it. Like you could put your fruits in the fridge, you know, the way it's set up. But now there must be containers and there must be small tins, and your life is not perfect. Your food is not perfectly put in the fridge unless it's put in this and this and this and this. And you must have 5 lip balms, and you must have 10 different colors of lipsticks, you know, all these things. It's just pushing that more is better.
Do you think we are struggling with that consumerism?
We are.
What is wrong with me and my 5 lip balms, Juliet? Like, what's wrong with me and my 2 teens? Like, walk me through that. I had not thought of it that way, but I see it. And you know why I'm saying that? It's because you've said the clients, the marketers, they know what they are doing. Let me just digress a bit. I was following up on the Met Gala, and I think I bumped into a TikTok of someone explaining why the Met Gala tickets are so expensive. She was saying that one ticket goes for $75,000, right? And I was like, wait a minute. Rihanna got like paid $75,000 to get into.
Rihanna and her husband,
but
both of them.
Yeah, both of them. So that's like $150,000. But then now the lady went on. I'm just gonna try and shorten this. The lady went on to explain brands buy the tables. So you see, I don't want to mention the brands, but let's mention LNN buys the table. Then LNN now buys a table of 10, but LNN now uses the influencers to sit on those tables. So you know, when you're in the Met Gala and you are just LNN, people are going to get curious. But then when you are watching from this end, you are thinking, how important are these people attending the Met Gala? How rich are they? They can afford these tickets. So I kind of feel like that's also happening to us a lot. You see someone doing something and you feel like you are not making any progress. You feel so left behind in life. You feel, I can't even afford a 75,000 ticket. But unless you know the integrity, the details,
how things work,
the hidden ways things work, you'll be beating yourself up.
Exactly.
People are progressing. You want to play catch up, but you don't know the entire story. You don't even know whether the person stocking the fridge got those things for free.
Exactly. And you thought your life was okay until you saw that, until your eyes were exposed to that, and you're like, oh. And you know, the first time you're exposed to it, you can actually maybe realize that, that's too much. Like, you know, when another fridge, and then a third one, and then a fourth one, and then you're like, oh, maybe I'm the one who's actually being left behind. You get, and I think it's especially problematic for a generation who are now exposed to these things before they are solid and founded on their own identity, right? Knowing who I am, where I come from, and what's right, what's wrong, before I'm fed all of this information that makes me feel like this is the standard that must be met. Because who is setting the standard? I feel like that's the problem, because it's this messaging, it's this many people doing it, and they're the ones who are telling you so that this is the standard. So I feel like getting the nitty-gritty can actually open people's eyes, remove the scales, and like, no, it's not. This is actually a marketing gimmick. This is a marketing. Actually, there's a season I spent a lot of time trying to explain to people the psychology of marketing and consumerism, so that they can, you know, when you're aware of something, you can see it coming. When you're not, then you find yourself just caught in it, and you don't realize actually that's how you are supposed to behave, so that somebody can sell something. So even now with the you know, the influencers and all those things who tell you that actually this is a thing, I've just discovered this thing, and this is, you know, it's changing my life in in such dramatic ways, you know, and you are sold on that, especially when you, I think the reason why influencing works is because we associate, first of all, we think we are the same because they are just people, right? So like if you are my neighbor and then all of a sudden you blew up, so I'm like, see, that's the girl I know, you know, like it's just normal. And then so that kind of gives us the same footing, and then over time that comparison continues, and then now you find that there's now an economic disparity. And so because this other person, you thought you always know them, but now, they're always going on trips. They're always buying these things. They're restocking. They're doing all these things. And you're like, okay, juzi tu tulikuwa hapa pamoja. But now they're here. And so now that makes you feel like, then I am the one who is being left behind, especially when you find, they're age mates. Like 1 minute ago, we were in high school together. What has happened? Things have changed. And now I am actually being left behind. And so being that, if you don't have a strong sense of identity and purpose and even calling, I think that's when those kind of things are going to mislead you. And if you're not also conscious, I think learning helps. I was gonna say one of the other habits that actually are affecting people's money behavior is actually just ignorance. So pushing to know these things, how the sausage is made, essentially, helps you to understand the movement of money and why certain people are producing certain kind of content. Especially where, I don't know if this is the right time to say this, but I like to, there's a little course I have for young people. Yes, when it comes to money, but to be able to identify who should I be listening to online, especially about money things, because people create content for different things. So if somebody is talking about budgeting, but it's like a coach like me, it's a different thing from somebody talking about budgeting and it's bank, or it is an insurance agent. All these people, they have things they want you to buy. So they're creating that content to get you into their product. So if you know who is talking, then you can ask, why are they saying that? You know, like, let's reason.
Your source of information. Where is it coming from? And what's the intended purpose for this conversation?
So then I can then see, this is what they want me to do. This is how they intend to. This information is supposed to affect me. And then from there you can make a proper decision. Because I realize actually people they can't tell the difference between who is legit and who is doing this because they're being paid. I realize that there's a disparity there. So you'll find that, I did this, I bought this product because so and so said. But why were they saying it? Did you actually ask why? Are they saying from a point of expertise or from a point, this is my life and this is my experience? Because then it might not be a product for you, but you went because so and so actually said.
And I feel like in this era of influencing and information overload, that's a struggle for so many people. Very
many people.
Because again, I love Juliet. I want to associate with everything that Juliet. So if today she comes looking this beautiful, I want this dress. But I don't even know the intention of you wearing it. This dress. Exactly. What does it mean to you and for you?
Exactly. I think there's financial literacy, but there's also social media literacy. And I think that we're in a generation where people need to learn that, because that's where marketing is happening. And if you don't know the psychology they're using to get you to buy, then you're constantly being caught to actually buy those things and spend, and you feel like the more I spend, then especially if you're also in a vulnerable emotional position or even mental position, then sometimes even those messaging can make you feel like, buy this dress, you'll feel absolutely better. You know, your life will change, overnight, and you will be like so and so. And so if that happens, and it's a rush, it's like a dopamine. So you get that rush and you feel nice, but it only lasts 48 hours. So the next time you're feeling bad again, it will be about buying something else. And if you find yourself again with another advertisement about something that is supposed to change your life, you go for it again. So it becomes a cycle. So that kind of cycle, I always say, there's no amount of budgeting by day that removes you from that cycle. So if you come and you're like now learning about budgeting, but you don't know what triggers my spending, that's where you should start first. If you haven't caught that, then you'll introduce a budget. 3 months later, useme budgeting is a scam, hii kitu haifanyangi kazi, you know.
I can do bad by myself.
Tumesha chafua, tumesha haribu, let's just go, and go on as it is,
Okay.
I think that's problematic.
All right. Maybe before you move us to the other one, just an add on what we said, because I see we are addressing the audience, but I also understand the struggle with the influencer, because I've introduced to the market a standard I can't keep up with. So what challenges am I likely to face if the marketers, the sponsors stop coming in, but there is a certain standard that I already introduced my audience to? What are some of the struggles that I might encounter? Because but I can no longer afford to be up there.
Now, so you'll be trying to if you're not, again, the kind of person who can be transparent and authentic, then you'll be trying to keep that standard, and you'll do all the things to keep. It's the definition we were trying to say earlier, the love of that. Money. So you might end up doing things that are evil to maintain that standard, or you'll start now borrowing, get into debt to maintain a standard that you can't sustain. And that now results in multiple, like it's one decision after another that then destabilizes you completely. Or you find that the thing you created is actually not sustainable. But I also don't think it's an influencer problem only, because there's also, just to give an example, there's a couple that I worked with as well, and both of them were civil servants, the kind of jobs where they had to travel a lot. Now, you know, in the government, or maybe just work generally, you travel, you get per diem, you travel, you get, so for them, almost every month they would travel, and the per diem would come, and you know, there's a difference between your net, your take home, and the per diem. So they had built a lifestyle that now, imagine, let's say you're earning 100K, but every time you travel, you get like 150K. And so now the lifestyle you have developed is worth 250K. And then COVID happened. And then there were no trips. And then there's nowhere to go. And then there's no per diem. That's when they realized they had inflated their lifestyle, yet what they actually could afford to live is a 100K lifestyle, right? Unconsciously, that's what you do. So it's the same thing with the influencer, right? So all these things used to come, you know, the brand wants to give you this, they give you this, the deals come, and then now you imagine this is actually the life I can afford, right? But it's not, because the moment that tap runs dry, then you realize this is not sustainable, which is why, in my opinion, an influencer who's going to last long needs to rethink their business model. They have to really think about the sustainability of what they are doing in the event that actually dies. And not many of them think like that. Because we imagine that
deals will keep coming.
They'll keep coming. But if COVID could happen, we don't know what the next thing will be. It could actually tie the tap. And now how will you sustain yourself? I
appreciate that. We are learning. What's the next one that is really what other habit is really dragging us behind in life?
Let's talk about the events that come because of being part of community, or being part of the society, right? You know, weddings and funerals and baby showers and bridal showers and all these things. I remember there's actually a time both KTN and Citizen did this show about the cost of friendship, right? The true cost of friendship, because it's how it's affecting people's financial position, right? Because you have 10 friends,
best friends,
10 best friends, right? And for all their birthdays, you guys have to show up. You do something amazing. Let's contribute for a cake. Let's contribute for a gift. And so 10 friends means that every month that happens, 10 out of 12 months, right? And so in addition to the birthdays now, there's somebody's getting married. And when you're getting married, there's the dress, there's the trip to the bridal shower, there's all these expenses that come, and then the expectation also of the parents about what the wedding should look like. I want all my villagers friends to come, and the cost of doing all of those things. I think that those, if we don't put those things in proper perspective, then you'll find that you are actually spending to also meet certain expectation because of the need to show up. I remember for me personally,
Wow.
it used to happen a lot because I was in a church where I had so many friends, community was great, and I really loved it. But it almost felt like some people birthday would be, and I didn't even know, and be like, oh, we are going for lunch, or we're doing dinner for so-and-so's birthday. Had I planned? I had not planned. So this happens 2 weeks in a month. The other one is three weeks in a month. So it became very haphazard. I remember I had to call myself to a meeting and actually ask myself, first of all, who are your friends? Yeah. And I had a list. Yes. I had to write a list and say, these are the people I am willing to spend money on. Why? This is part of financial planning, because the haphazardness of what was happening to me meant that it felt like I'm not in control of all this going out and buying gifts and all those things. And so I needed to put myself in perspective and say, these are the ones that mean enough for me to actually budget. And when I did that, I became even more consistent, more intentional with them. And then these are the people who a phone call will suffice, and these are the people who I can just send a text and it should be fine. Yeah. So I separated, and that really helped me significantly when it came to such kind of spending, especially for birthdays. Let me say for birthdays, right? But even over time, I've had to assess even how do I meaningfully participate in a wedding or in a bridal shower or something like that, because I find if it come a bridal shower, lazima ikuwe na, theme, the color theme, and you have to buy a dress in yellow, in pink.
Me, man, I'm showing up in black.
Yeah, so if you're not conscious, those kind of things, they keep happening, and then now the budget of the wedding, it's not nice unless it has ABC. Those kind of standards, I think, are also influencing people's financial position.
I've never thought about it that way. Honestly, I've never thought that you participating in this event could potentially drag you behind money wise.
Because there's something you said when we started, that you don't realize the impact of that thing until a year later. You're like,
I spent 10K on this, 20 on, and there's nothing as bad when you go backwards to do the maths.
Yes.
Hey, you are like, I swear I had 170K. Where did it go?
And one of the most important thing for people, anyone who's trying to correct their financial position, please start with tracking your expenses. Okay. Just see where is this money going, and what is this lifestyle of mine costing me? Because it always jazzes me how people's minds are blown, because I didn't know I spent this much. I didn't realize, because we are not conscious. Our minds, it forgets, and taking note of it actually increases consciousness and awareness. And that's what you want. I don't want you to track and feel guilty about it. Track to be aware. And then once you're aware, then you can say, is this sustainable? Tutaendelea hivi? And especially because I want to buy a house. And I also want to do my master's, and I also want to retire at 50.
Yeah.
And all these things is going to be served by this one small money that I make. How will it work?
Yeah. But am I not likely to lose friends in the process? Because if I don't show up with these things, man, baby shower, me, I can only bring a pack of Pampers. Yeah. Wedding committees, remove me from that WhatsApp group. I don't want to be there. Am I not likely to lose friends in the process?
I think.
Or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, no, you have to do that introspection, like I just said. In fact, when I work with clients, I usually tell them, if you have a value that is linked to people, name those people and actually examine how you want to show up for them, right? And have open conversations. I've had difficult conversations with my friends when we were trying to figure out, what kind of things can we do, especially this year for our birthdays. And you're like, be honest and just say, I actually don't think I can do this one, because the way my account is set up, it's going to be a little bit hard.
Yeah.
And then offer an alternative. Can we do this instead? It's not to just cancel completely, but if you can also offer the alternative that works, because sometimes it's assumed that that's what they've said, therefore that goes without question. But you haven't actually offered an alternative that you might be shocked, might be in agreement but with everyone. And then I think also that if your friendship is it's like what we were saying earlier, if it's about married people being married in different social classes, but also maybe friendship can also happen that way, that there's different social classes, and so expectation of one person is different from the expectation of the other. But a true friendship, I think, can overcome that. Like if your friendship can be torn apart just because now I can't afford to come, then that's a problem. But also, like I said, you do financial planning so that you can show up the way you want to show up. So in my case, once I figured out the people, then what I started to do is organize my finances better. So I would always put aside money that is for these things, right? It's for a potential, like, by the way, by the time a wedding is being said, surely you have a few months to organize. Yeah. Even by the time a baby shower is being organized, you have a few months to plan yourself. Don't make it random. Yeah, that randomness is what is against the financial planning. But proper financial planning should actually allow you to live the life, because like we said, it's a tool. And if your life is about these people, you want to show up for these people, then let make money serve you, and that happens by planning
and budget for it.
Because we were saying, like, if your life is mixed up, it's haphazard, it's disorganized, even your money is disorganized. So for me, disorganization meant that I didn't even know it was your birthday, and then now I've been told like 2 hours to the birthday that it's time for the guys are going out, and me, I don't want to be left behind. It's that FOMO thing again, the fear, which is another thing that is affecting people's money behaviors negatively. That fear of being left out, of missing out on something that you feel like you should be part of. That sense of belonging. You don't want to be the only one who was not there. You don't want to be the only one who doesn't have that dress. You don't want to be the only one. That sense of belonging, it's not a bad thing per se, but when it is outside of your value system, that now starts affecting your financial negatively.
I love that you've brought out your fear of missing out, because again, it's a struggle for so many people.
It is,
Please be okay with missing out. Like, I feel like some of this wisdom comes with age.
It does.
Just be okay with missing. Just be okay with it.
Be okay, because then you'll realize you didn't die.
I love it.
You realize you didn't die, and by planning actually in advance and on being conscious about it, then you don't have to miss out. So like my friends, we've been planning a trip the entire year. Now, in fact, tulianza last year. So if this year you're saying you can't come, then that's your fault, because you didn't plan well.
All right. Our next one.
Which is something that was happening the other day. It's should I say, first of all, the soft life culture and the hustle culture, both of them, which is both are things of our generation, right? You don't want struggle, but then, because I find they're contradicting, because the hustle culture says, what? Make money, make the money, but why are you making the money? To afford the soft life. So you are doing, it's like you're in a cycle of working hard in order to go for a massage. Or working hard in order to go for a staycation. And both of them are problematic, both in terms of your psychology around money as well. Because is it who defined to us what the soft life is, and when did it become also the standard for me and my life, right? And then also this idea that my life is a cycle of pursuing deal after deal after deal after deal, right? So that I can get this much money, and then I don't know what this money is for. then I get this messaging that it's about the soft life. And so it's, I don't know if you're seeing that oxymoron.
I'm seeing it.
Yeah,
I'm seeing it.
yeah. So you find that now this habitual working hard, you get exhausted, you get even mentally it affects you. And then how the course correction is now this other messaging, which then takes all the, you've worked all this to get this money, and then it goes down the drain in this direction as well. So it's like it's in, out. Exactly. And so there's no actually moving forward. You're not making progress forward, which is essentially what we want money to offer us. Yeah, to move us from this to there. But if you are not conscious about that movement of money, how it's coming in, and what is it costing you for it to come in, and then where it's going. Yeah, because you could be, where it's going is correcting where it was coming from. Yeah.
And psychologically, that's going to mess you up.
Exactly.
How does it? Because, man, that's interesting. Because, again, I think majority of us are working so hard because the goal is soft life.
Yes.
You're working so hard. Staki shida. I need to get out of the block. But I'm not paying attention to the mental torture this is causing me in the process. You know, in the show, we always, not in the show, but I've always said, arrive alive. Does it make sense? Like, arrive alive. Because you might work so hard for something. By the time you even get there, your blood pressure is high, hypertension, stress. So by the time you even now go to enjoy, that's when they are telling you you are suffering from this and this. Arrive alive.
Arrive alive. I like that. I like that very much. And it could help somebody to have a sit down with themselves and just ask themselves, what do I want my life to be about? What will give meaning and purpose to my life? So that if it is hustling, then in fact, even I don't like the word hustling, by the way. I mean, I think we are all supposed to work. Like, anyone who wants to eat must work, right? But by the time we are saying hustling, there's a sense of toil that it's coming with, which is negative, right? Toil is not what God called for us to do. You're not called to toil. You're called to work so that your work can feed you, right? The moment you're getting to toil, then it means that you're even going beyond what you have capacity for, which is now why it's having those negative negative impacts psychologically and emotionally and socially, right? So you have this young parent who is imagining that I have to work until 10 p.m. to provide for my family, and then at the same time the children are not being able to see you. They're young, so they don't even know you because you're busy hustling, right? And what's the ripple effect of that to your family, and then to your physical body, and then to your mental status? Yeah. So I think it's problematic in that way. So you need to actually sit yourself down. And I really like the value-based financial planning, which is a framework I use, because you have to ask yourself, what's really important? What's really important out of life? What's the thing that I was created on this earth to do? And how can money enable that, right? And if it is you're called to your family, which, you know, if you have a family, they are a responsibility. Your calling is to them, right? So you have to ask yourself, how do I show up for these people? And how do I organize myself so that I can both fend economically for them, but also offer leadership, offer my presence, offer my time, and all those things, so that this thing that you've been called to is actually successful. So I use that value-based financial planning to help people to be centered. You want to center yourself so that money finds the role it's supposed to play in your life properly and serve you properly, so that you don't now get into those cycles of, because you can't say no to money, right? When you look at the opportunity cost on what am I losing on this side?
Me?
Yes, because if you don't say no, then it's actually you're in that race, pushing to get more, and then expending it on this other side, not even just for soft life now, but even just health, just to be healthy. So you're spending money that could have been avoided, by the way. So arrive alive, I like that.
Okay, I love what you said Also, but we are hustler nation, Juliet. What we gonna do about it, you know? We have to bottom up, you know. We are hustler nation, so might be a bit hard for people to hear that.
Do you know when somebody, I was doing a program somewhere with some, you know, other people in different parts of the continent.
Yes.
And this one Tanzanian told me, "Hey, Juliet, you're a hustler." I was like, I didn't think, you know, it's just because I felt like the especially the social environment in Tanzania is very different from Kenya.
Tanzania hata umeenda mbali. Situshuke tu pwani. Situshuke tu pwani. You know. Tushuke anyway. Before I lose you. Ebu go on, then I tell you something.
And this was like almost 7 years ago. I had to sit and ask why like that's such a like he just looked at everything I was doing and decided I'm a hustler. Yeah, so but I had to actually examine and ask myself what work am I doing? Yes. And when is it okay for me to say no to certain things, especially when I can identify the negative impact that it's having really on the rest of my life. Yeah.
And that's something go on.
As an entrepreneur, I think also or just somebody running your own business, like you realize that you are in control of the revenue of your business. So if you don't do certain things, then that also has the impact on how much money you make, whether you'll be able to pay your people, whether you'll cover your expenses. And I feel like that's what he saw, but it still called me to question and examine myself a bit more clearly so that I can know when I'm overshooting some boundaries.
Yeah, and you have to know the way you live life is not the way other people are living life.
Exactly.
You know, as we judged. You know, there's a time in my team we went to Mombasa. Let me just say, just to create there what you've just said, because I realized the way I view life is not how you view life, and that's okay. So we were in this resort. It's like more of an Airbnb and whatever. So you had the chef na kila kitu. So tumeamka like 10. Tunaangaliana kwani wajaamka. Kwani wanatupikia chai saa ngapi? I think we were eating around 1 or 2, but the way you say, our emergency is not there. Our emergency was not there. No, our emergency was not the emergency.
That can be so annoying.
I know, but our emergency is not the emergency.
But food ni emergency.
No, but you see, you also have to be okay with the fact you wake up at 3, others we are okay waking up at 11.
So did you like have a conversation with them for the next day?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Like we have Muga to take it. Muga was ready to do that dish by himself, man. But you get it.
Yeah.
But also it taught us a lesson. Just because us we are fast. Actually, doesn't mean their life is fast-paced. No.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is so like entering a culture, which is, I mean, I feel like that will go into another topic altogether, but just understanding different cultures, especially if you're working with different cultures or people from different places, it's so important to understand their both cultural existence, but also their psyche and how to motivate them even towards your own vision that you could be running as a leader. Yeah.
Yes.
Next one. Our next one is the get rich quick, the messaging. Yeah. Because I think that's also something I'm seeing a lot and hearing a lot. The promises that just do this and you will make, 100% return or something like that. You find that if you, and that anything that promises that kind of rush or that kind of quick return, especially for money, I find that to be problematic. So that includes gambling. Yes. That includes even investments that tell you this can happen, overnight. Yeah. And that's a function of not being financially literate, because if you are, even concerning investments and things like that, then you would know how long does it actually take for this to happen and for this to happen. So even the recent scheme where people lost their money, that again, it is a mindset. Every behavior starts with the way you think. So if you are fed or given this continuous messaging that you can do this one thing and your financial situation will change overnight, right? So you get roped into what is ideally a scam, or you don't know the exact system of how something works, and you are just promised by the returns. Then you find that you lose money, right? You lose money in the process, and if it happens once, it happens twice. Then now I find people who just say investments, I wouldn't even do any investment, because all the investments they know were scams, but they were also fake. So they didn't know the right ones, the ones that work, and neither did they know the strategy that they can use to get them. And that now negatively affects their financial position. But I think it starts with the idea that messaging, again, from social media, because then there are these also people who are always pushing that narrative. I work online and I trade and I get X shillings every month. But you should question, like, exactly what does it mean to trade? And then if you don't question, then you keep hearing that. The moment they tell you, I can do that for you also, that's it. That's how they catch you, right? Because they fed you the information they wanted you to hear, and then now you didn't know, but they were targeting to give them your money, so that now you get scammed in the process. But it was a long game for them. And it was all in this space of information. So still part of what we were trying to say in terms of people need to know who is speaking, what are they saying, and why are they saying what they're saying.
Good.
Yeah.
I love, interesting, because I've seen part of these long cons, it's also, I make $1 million trading, let me teach you how to do it.
Well, yes, I think teaching you how to do it is fine, so that
but
you go and do
fee.
it.
Right?
Right?
I'm not teaching you for free.
Yes.
I have a masterclass on how I make millions online.
Exactly.
And every masterclass is 4,500.
By the way, let's clarify.
Yeah.
Depending on what is being traded, it's not all scam, because you can trade stock, you can trade even forex, you can trade these things which are legitimate, right? Because trading is just buying and selling and making sure you buy low and sell high, right? But it's usually a learning curve to become an expert at these things. So I do encourage people to sit in a proper class and actually learn how to do it. What I discourage is anyone who tells you, bring your money, I'll do it for you. Yes, especially because this person must be licensed by the Capital Markets Authority to be able to do it on your behalf. And if you find, because I've had actually this week, I think 2 or 3 of my clients were telling me that's what happened to them in Campus. There was someone who used to trade, and they told me, and I gave them 20K, and that's how they lost. And now anything they hear about stock trading, stock market, they are not for it. And yet it's actually a legitimate way of investing. It's what was happening at that point that was one small thing. The person who was doing it and the fact that they said they could do it for you. You learn how to do it, open your own account, buy and sell for yourself. Yeah.
But you have to understand it's not going to be done
it's not going
overnight.
to overnight. Yeah. First of all, because the trading, it's a steep learning curve. There are so many things you need to learn in order to know when to buy, when to sell. And so it's not, even the person who's telling you they did it overnight probably has been doing it for long, right? And so that's how they're able to make, and it's often one nice win and followed by 4 losses and then 1 win. So just understanding that this is how the market works is really important. That's also financial literacy. Being literacy, know what you need to know, understand these things before you commit your finances to that thing. Yeah, easy come, easy go. Easy
come, easy go.
Hey, arrive alive, easy come, easy go. Tunaziangusha.
Zote kabisa. Anyways, our next one.
Our next one is the not wanting avoider tendencies. Let me say, the avoider tendency means that you don't want, you're not really keen on knowing what your financial position is, how much you spend, where you spend. We kind of talked about it kidogo earlier, but more along the lines of you don't want to look at your financial position because you, first of all, you think it's complicated, or you think it's it makes you anxious. Like, yeah, so just knowing that I have only 30,000 shillings left or 3,000 shillings left in my account, and then it messes with your psyche. You get anxious, and you want to avoid that whole feeling, and so you don't even budget, you don't even track your expenses. All of those things are going to now affect you negatively. So what happens, the behavior is you don't budget, you don't track your expenses. Somebody can say, but I don't know how to do it. But if you know how to do it, but then you're avoiding it because now it makes you anxious, and that's the feeling you're avoiding, then actually that both of them become a problem, all right? So this kind of person, you'll find that they miss even paying rent because they didn't know rent is due. You get, so they become like aloof to their own financial position.
Don't care.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't care, by the way, and whatever will be, whatever will happen, happens. That kind of attitude. Yeah, I think that's problematic because if it happens month after month after month, then you find you're piling up. Even debt, you could be piling up. You borrowed, you didn't know it was due. Or you even forgot that you borrowed. And so interest has been piling up, and then you didn't even know. By the time we are looking at your entire financial position, it's not where we thought it would be. You get, or you didn't even know how bad things are. Yeah. So I usually say this person who is like this, the best way to deal with them is to actually do coaching with someone like me, because it will force you. It will force you to look at your finances, because the process and the exercises that we do actually force you to know what to look for and build that muscle, internal muscle, so that you actually look at your financial position properly and say, yeah, this is what this is, and this is what needs to be done. Yeah, I think people avoid that and they're afraid. I think I saw somebody on Instagram saying how anytime they make payments for something on MPESA, they'll make the payment and then they close their eyes so that they don't see the balance, the balance on the MPESA balance, or even your bank balance. And so that's avoid a tendency, and that can escalate very fast if you're not conscious of it. Because then things you need to keep track of, things, how much money is coming in vis-a-vis how much money is going out. If these things are not matching, then you find that you are going to get yourself in problems.
What possibly causes that? The avoidant tendency. What causes that? The anxiety. Is it that there's some work I need to do as an individual?
I think there could, yes, there is some work, but I don't say there's always work to do, but first of all, there's some exercises we can do, because I think it comes from different people. Like, I mean, the source is different for different people. For one person, it could be, it's how the information they were fed, in terms of, one client of mine said how their mom always used to say, watu wakwe careful na pesa. Like, every time she gives you money, watu wakwe careful na pesa, right? Shopping, and you go and buy something at the shop. Now, watu wakwe careful na pesa. Yeah. I'm giving you money, school fees, pocket money. Watu wakwe careful na pesa. So she had it. She kept hearing it. And then so one time she was like, first of all, watu ni akina nani? Yes. Why are we so passive aggressive? Yeah. And then secondly, she realized that even after hearing it, it might end up that, for example, one time she was given this pocket money that was supposed to last for the whole 3 months of a term. And then it only ended after 1 month. And then now she started second guessing herself, and she's like, maybe I'm the one who's not good with money. You get
the watu.
Yes, I'm the watu. Like, because I mean, sasa unaji second guess is like, am I not careful with money? So what happened is that now she's in her 30s, she's even far from her mother, but that phrase, it kept ringing. So what happens is that every time she gets paid, she doesn't engage. Yeah. She'd rather just leave it there, because what if I make a mistake? Yes. Right? What if I do this and then it's wrong? What if I do this and then... So there's a fear that comes in terms of your inability to even manage what you have. But in her case, it was a messaging. It was just information, one line that kept repeating. And then it became, her truth. her reality such that to this extent she is not able to use her money, right? And such a person, no matter how many times you tell them about money markets and circles and all these things, they might know in their head, but they're not doing anything about it. Qua ground, the money is just sitting there.
And they're not interested.
They're not interested, right? So I feel like somebody must do some exercises or talk to a therapist to be able to find the source of these things. Some of the work I do, I usually say, by the way, I'm not a therapist, but I've realized some of the psychology around money, and that helps me help my clients. But some instances, in fact, even with anxiety, some instances I usually just encourage people to go and do therapy actually with their, so that they can get to the root cause and then come back. Let's now do the tools that you need to manage the money well.
Great. I've also seen some instances where if your bank balance is like 800k, you don't want that bank balance to go down. Even if you withdraw you have to find it and return it there. What's that?
I think there are people who have what is it called? I think there's some part of OCD in that. In money, right? So like that, there's a number. Like if it's not 000 and it's not 3 zeros, then you are you find that you're not okay, and so you have to keep working to put it there. And so such a person, or even another person, could be, they're just afraid of it going down because of lack or experiences that they've had in the past, or maybe they were auctioned, they lost money in money, they were scammed, all these things that made them want to keep the money, and I want to keep it in a way that I can see it. So sometimes it's just keeping it in the bank so that I can always log in, 1 million, and it makes you happy. So because it feeds your psyche. It does feed your psyche. And so such a person, you'll find that they have a problem investing, right? So people who are hoarders or the underspenders, let me call them underspenders, because underspending can mean that either you're motivated by fear or you have that scarcity mindset that this one that is here, I can't make any more. So as in there's no more money to be made. So this one that is here, we must keep it. We must keep it, hold on to it. And so these people, they are savers by default. They don't struggle to save. They don't because it just sits there by default. And so people think they're good with money because, you have 5 million. Wow, you must be doing very well. The problem with that is that there's a ceiling, especially if you're trying to multiply your money, there's a ceiling that you will reach because now you're not able to remove money to go and invest for it to multiply. So any time that it requires you to move money and you take it somewhere where you don't know what will happen, it will either come back or not, you're not able to do that. And so you never grow beyond your 1 million, beyond this, because there's more that can be done, but psychologically you're not able to do it. So you need to also identify what's that thing that keeps me unable to remove this money, to spend, to buy even things that are necessities, So you'll find such a person, unless it's like life or death, I'm not withdrawing this money.
Iko na purpose yake.
Sometimes even haina purpose, it's just there. It's supposed to give me security, peace of mind. Peace of mind, right? And peace of mind, if that money is not to do something specific, I'm a big advocate that your money should have purpose. It should be, yes, it's there, it's 500k, but this is what it's for. All right. If you don't know what this is for, then there's a sign that you're actually just hoarding it. You're not saving, you're hoarding, you're keeping it. And that limits how fast or how much you can grow it. You need to be able to learn where should we be putting this money, and then redirect that money there.
That. We have another one?
We have another one, maybe a final one, especially for parents, right? One of the habits I've seen with parents is that inability to say no to your children, especially when you are making up, it's almost Mother's Day. And one of the things that mothers struggle with is the fact that they have to work or not be there. And so if you have that guilt, mom guilt, that why do I have to go to work? Why do I have to do? And you find even maybe every morning you're leaving and you leave while your child is crying. What happens is that they try to make up for that. They make up for their lack of physical presence by just buying things. They buy stuff, they buy things as a show, as a demonstration of the love now. And so if you're not conscious, now that's where the issue. You do your financial analysis, unapata all the money is going. And I think especially when they are young, they're small, right? Those are the moments that when they cry for something, you are not able to say no. Even fathers tend to do that because for some reason they're also, maybe they're more excused for not being there, and some of them make it up by they overcompensate, number one, for their lack of physical and emotional presence and support, right? There's that one. And then there's this other way that parenting can also have that ripple effect, is when you're trying to negate how you grew up. You know, how you grew up, and you say, me, my children, they will never struggle like that.
Yes.
You know, so you are now, you're now rebelling essentially, but through your children, right? Because you want to offer them what you could not get. And if that's not measured well, then you find that first of all, you can go beyond your capacity, and secondly, the way it now influences your children's ability to manage money, their relationship with money also becomes skewed. But I see that more with moms, I think, at least from my experience with working with clients.
How can they then deal with the guilt?
I think you have to identify that yourself. Remember, we said that the more conscious and aware you are, the more you can catch a bad behavior. But what happens is that most of the time when this is happening, you don't even realize that this is what I'm doing. So you need to bring yourself to that level of, this is actually how I'm compensating for this and this and this. And then question the validity or the wisdom in doing that thing. If you don't know, then you'll pass it on. If you know, you can catch yourself and pass and teach proper. Because now the first person to teach your children about money is yourself. We say that how money systems money belief systems are formed and mindsets are formed, it's out of environment. Mostly what you repeatedly see, what you repeatedly hear, especially in your formative years. That's what I was saying, 1 to 10, thereabout. If you keep hearing that, or if you know that every time I cry, or even children, they become manipulative when they start seeing you like that. So they'll use that to get what they want, right? Because you're not conscious that that's actually what's happening. So the lack of awareness can cause that to happen. And that introspection can be done by yourself. There's some exercises you can do for yourself, but also working with someone can help expose that if you're not conscious yourself. But it's a necessary personal development process that you must make sure you have and know, so that you don't pass on things unconsciously to your children, thinking you're trying to do the best for them, but essentially what you're doing is causing both a problem for your financial position, but also their own relationship with money. Because you're making up for what your parents did. The way they denied you, now you don't deny yourself, neither do you deny your children. You get, so there's no balance. The key is balance.
That's interesting, and I hope people, because I see it happening a lot. Even in friendships, or maybe not even just parents alone. You feel like we've not seen each other for a long time, even as friends. So I just send you like 10K. Like, I'm spoiling you, but you are compensating. You're actually compensating. I think it's also an adult struggle. That's actually a good one, because that's or you can't visit your parents. You can't you can't go home. So you just send money. I think compensating is not just even in children alone. A lot of adults are doing it instead of forming meaningful friendships and you being present in those friendships. I think just throwing money around is one of the things people are using to compensate for that.
As you're saying that now, I'm also remembering another one, which is the people pleasing bit, right? So especially if you're trying to make your parents happy, you're trying to fit in a certain group, even the children now, because that compensating is coming from, oh, let me make them happy because I made them sad in this way. So what do we do? We throw money in that issue, we throw money in that problem, and we become avoiders, essentially, because the real problem is too hard to deal with. It's too difficult, psychologically even uncomfortable, and so you want to avoid all of that and direct money. You throw money at that problem, and now when you look back and you actually, just what you said when we started, that after a year of doing this, you realize, that was a lot of money I've been sending out. I don't know how many people pull their MPESA statement to just do that kind of analysis, but I highly encourage it.
You encourage it?
I highly encourage it. Highly encourage it. At least every 3 months, just go and see. Just go and see where is this money going and why is it going? Because it can tell you a lot about yourself.
I love that. And I know we did touch on impulse buying indirectly during the conversation, but is impulse buying and maybe stress, I see a lot of people when you are going through something, you'll be like, hey, man, well, I needed a hug, but let me go get a shoe. I think you've seen it even on TikTok where you're like, I just need a hug, but let me just go and get myself it's called what, EJ? Retail therapy. You get it, and you know you're just shopping or impulse ama unakasirika kwa mall, unaingia unasema na nikikufa leo, so you just treat yourself to everything that you want.
Absolutely.
Could you briefly touch on that and how we can
work around it? That's absolutely true. And you know, many people, when people come to me, usually they see, they've diagnosed themselves is that me, Juliet, I'm an overspender. And I know I make enough, but where is it going, right? So most people identify themselves as people who overspend. But now, so such a person would then come and say, Juliet, help me create a budget. And that's what I was saying. A budget will not work if we don't identify those instances of overspending. So you overspend, you are sad, you overspend. It's the dopamine that, by the way, you are talking about, because it's a feel-good. It's a feel-good release, and that's why now it comes like therapy, because it makes you feel nice. It makes you feel nice, but it lasts for 24 hours. Because the next time you feel bad, the next time you have a bad day at work, the next time you fight with your friend or with your husband or whoever, you'll still go and spend so that you can husa and feel nice again. All right, so
I want to be mad enough for a jiwago. Ile nataka kujam, you know, nataka, but sorry, honey, go on.
And then after the jiwagon is then you realize you can't afford it.
I see tutaendesha.
Ngeniambia I rent it out and make back my money.
Ama munione hapa.
So there are some emotions that trigger the spending. So that one, the depression, the anxiety also, the worry, or even happiness sometimes. You know, you can be so happy, you want to spread the happiness. And so those ones who, you know, you enter a bind, you're saying one for everyone, you know, because you are in that reveling, you're in a reveling mode, or you're in a reveling, you've actually embraced a reveling spirit, which is excessive. It's in itself, it's excessive. So you might find that even your spending is excessive. All right. So now, if you find yourself in that cycle, that you do this, you spend. You feel like this, you spend. You feel like this, you spend. Then what happens is that now there's a cycle that there's no amount of budgeting that can help you. So we have to actually identify the root cause and mention the instances. When was the last time, especially when it was a lot? Because, you know, I feel like we have an internal alarm system that tells us when you overspend. Umesha spend back ukashtuka. Yes. Because psychologically, we know when it has, we have reached a certain level. The funny thing is that it doesn't happen with the saving. You never save so much.
You just spend so much.
You just spend. It's funny. Which means it's the area that needs actually to be controlled. And so if you are able to identify those instances that trigger the spending, because money is very practical, it's rational, it's pragmatic, but because of our emotion, in fact, we are a generation that worships on the altar of our emotions. And so we give our emotions such high priority I feel like, I just feel like, I just want, I just, you know, and those emotions, they are against the language that money understands, first of all, and they are not like, there's no control on them. If you don't know how to control those emotions, you'll find that now you lean more towards them, right? You lean more towards them. You feel like going out, you feel like buying this, you feel like doing this, you feel you feel. In fact, we say I feel like a lot, right?
Yes.
And so we are that generation that very heavily responds to that feeling, even when that feeling is actually not right. It's not moral, neither is it ethically correct. So you keep moving with that. And so it's those emotions that now are triggering the spending. So again, you need to be conscious of the trigger. What is it? Is it, I had a bad day at work, you peter through town and you find these people selling clothes and you just, unapita na moja. And if you do that 2-3 times a week, it adds up. It adds up, and you find that now at the end of the month, you maybe even had to borrow to buy yourself a nice dress, because what you're doing is you're trying to get rid of that emotion instead of actually dealing with it by looking for help. Because now you have to separate yourself from, you have to separate money from that thing.
Yes.
So you find a solution for that feeling. So if you, every time you're depressed, you spend, what you've done is that you've made money a clutch. Yeah. So it's the thing that you're holding on to stay afloat or to feel okay. And the moment money is removed from that equation, you might crash. So what we need to find a more permanent solution for that feeling.
Good.
Yeah. Which now involves, you know, things like therapy, working with a coach and things like that, so that you find tools that you can use to deal with depression, to deal with anxiety, to deal with these things, and remove money from that equation so that money can do what it's supposed to do, right? Unless money is removed, you'll find that money keeps doing, you're in that cycle, and there's no amount of budgeting that gets out of that cycle. Yeah.
And just because you're feeling doesn't mean those are the right emotions.
No,
just because I feel like doesn't mean I'm justified to. Yeah.
We respond to our feelings a lot, and they are often not good feelings, or rather the behaviors that results out of them often are regretful. If you find that every time you respond to your emotion, look at now whatever you do as a result of that feeling, and analyze yourself when you are kind of sober.
Yes.
Yeah. And ask yourself, was that a regretful thing that I did? And what can I do next time so that I don't repeat the cycle? Otherwise, again, if you're not conscious, you're not aware, then you find that you're constantly in that cycle of spending, misusing money, and not letting it actually work for you the way it's supposed to work for you. Yeah.
I love that. I think on our first conversation, the one we had long time ago, you remember? We also briefly touched on, you just giving money or kupeana tu. Me, I feel charitable. So today, I wanna bless. I wanna bless. I wanna bless.
Yes.
And I know there are so many details on that episode that people can check out.
Absolutely.
But do you wanna
Go
briefly
back
touch on that part? Because
Yeah.
I feel like that's a struggle majority of people. I remember telling you I have struggled with that.
Yes.
Naona tu mtu nasikia tu nimtumie. You'll get it. And then later on there's a lot of internal work you have to do to understand, why do I feel, what am I responding to.
Umefika wapi since our last
mimi nilishamaliza. Siku hizi I have to ask myself, maybe to share with the audience. I think it's also the fear of the fact that I lacked before, and you don't want to see people in that situation. So you feel like you want to play savior or Jesus in their lives. Na hata waja kuitisha sometimes. Imagine. But you feel like, let me give, because when you go back now to growing up, you wish someone had done something like that. Like when you were struggling, you wish someone would have just sent you a 500 bob or just something, you know. But it's a response.
It is. So it's actually two things: survivor's guilt and savior's complex. These are psychological terms. Survivor's guilt is the guilt you feel when you made it out of a seemingly bad situation.
The block.
Yes. Yeah, you made it out of the block. Yeah. Right. So you feel like every time you meet someone who's still there, like, oh, why am I the one who survived? Why am I the one who made it out? Why am I the one who flew out? You know, so I must make up for these people who left behind. And so it becomes a burden you carry to make their life better. And oftentimes that means giving them money.
Yes.
Yeah. So if that happens again without control, again without boundaries, then you find that it negates your financial position. The savior's complex is just that general sense that no problem can be solved unless you're there, unless your money is given.
Yes.
Right? So you're the one who's the beginning and the end, the alpha, the omega, and things cannot move unless you're there and your money speaks. So your money speaks for you. So there are some people who, because of maybe community setup, family setup, they've found themselves in that position that I have to do it. They've carried that burden, especially things, firstborns, or even if it's your cousin setup, you're the oldest, you're the one who's doing better than everyone else.
Yes.
So now that becomes a burden that you carry, that, when somebody is sick, you have to come in. When somebody needs school fees,
I have to come in.
Because now who is going to do it? You've imagined that actually there's no one else who will do it, and this situation will become completely dire unless I step up and give this money. Yeah. And so what that does is that you'll realize that actually the moment you stop doing it, and then people actually survive, then you realize,
I was not the savior.
Yeah, you are not the savior, but because you've never actually allowed that to happen, psychologically, that's you're still motivated in that way. Yeah. And so how do you, first of all, you have to know, you have to be conscious actually that this is what I'm doing, because most people are not. That's all they've known their entire life. They've always been.
And I love that you've said most people, I was not conscious.
Yeah, you are not conscious.
No, I was not conscious.
And somebody had to show you.
You did. You did.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I remember.
Did. Yeah.
So if it's not opened to you, like you don't see it, then you won't do anything about it. Yeah. You won't action. You won't make the changes that you need to make. So that consciousness can still be done by some introspection, self-introspection, or again, working with somebody to help expose that. Because again, you might not, if you're in an environment where that is actually what is being fed to you over and over again, you won't realize that this is a problem.
Yeah.
So first you have to see the situation and why it's a problem. And if it is not a problem, then you can consciously continue doing it.
Yes.
It can become a problem because we were talking about money habits that actually influence your position negatively. I actually wrote an ebook and I said that's why you're poor. That's why you're poor, because you keep doing these things. There are certain things you keep doing, like being the savior of everyone, like feeling guilty, carrying unnecessary guilt that actually no one has put on you. Yeah, you have actually embraced it and carried it for yourself. So you need to do some internal work. Some of it can be done without engaging people. Others would probably need to be worked with someone so that you can see, because sometimes you just don't see it.
Yeah, and that's why I appreciate, not an ad, but I appreciate people like you, because even in just that conversation, you are able to point me like towards the right direction. And you made me ask myself the question, like, where is this really? And I had to do a lot of inner work, and now, as you said, people are surviving.
People are surviving.
People are surviving. You are not God after all. But people are surviving. You are actually not God after all. And it's also a relief. It's also a very huge relief unto your life.
Because even when you do that, you also allow other people in that cycle to show up.
And what you do, again, it was funny, I was even having this conversation with my big sister. You also a limit to other people. They don't show up fully the way they are supposed to show up. Because when you keep showing up with this, you are preventing them from using their cocosity. So I think you are also a limit, which is also a negative behavior, actually. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I like that. And I like that you were able to even have that conversation with your siblings, because most would actually not even broach the subject. But the moment, what you can do to trigger the conversation by just stopping.
Yes.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Wait for a few days. And see what will happen. First, you'll find somebody else will step up, right? Or if they don't, then you will find that they're looking for you. And if they start looking for you, then you can start broaching that conversation. You'll be forced to. Yeah.
I love it. I know we can go on and on,
Kabisa.
but you mentioned tracking your expenses. Last time you brought us an amazing PESA tracker,
Yes,
very beautiful booklet where people can be able to track their expenses.
Exactly.
Would you walk us through maybe it so that whoever missed out on that conversation briefly mention that, and also what other solutions do you offer now as a coach? I know here we can barely, we just scratched the surface, but again we get to realize these are things that need time. You just won't get saved by this episode. This might trigger you towards looking for solutions, but then you have to really do the work. So could you walk us through some of the ways people can get to approach you, or what are some of the things that you do that will help people continue mitigating or just navigating through this issue?
I really love that you've said that, the fact that, because some people feel the moment you start actually getting an ounce of even financial literacy or education, and you start now correcting, you can get very impatient if the change doesn't happen overnight or fast. Like now I'm doing better, now I'm budgeting. Shouldn't my position, change, my financial position change? But you've not been budgeting for the past 5 years and you've just budgeted for 3 months. It will not change. There are mistakes you have done over those 5 years that might take a while to undo. And then also, there's so much, oh my gosh, there's so much to know and learn about money. It also cannot even be covered, like you said, in this topic, or even in one webinar. So if you keep moving from one webinar to another, to another, to another, and you're getting all this mixed information, mixed signals, then you even get more confused, because we're actually in an information age. And information is so readily available. Everyone has a YouTube channel and a Facebook page or an Instagram page where they talk about money. And this, again, part of our, it's a problem for our generation. Because you hear this. Yes, and you feel like, oh, I know these things because you've been hearing it. But how to contextualize it to your situation, to your context, then you don't have that capacity, which is why I started the Our Money Year program. By the way, watu wako walikuja. They have been there.
Block.
Wametoka block. Yeah, so we started that in January, and we've been on that journey. So we are now in month 5 out of 12 months of this program, and now we are just actually entering the investment. So if you need a structured way of understanding these things, then I highly encourage that you join Our Money Year. I hope I can share the link for people to join. So we have just started. We've done the first introduction to investing last Monday. This Monday we'll just talk about things you need to know before you start investing. Yeah, I just realized the more I engage with people, the more I realize, even me, my assumption was, surely guys, you know all these things, but then I'm realizing, oh, there's a gap here, there's a gap here, there's a gap here. So it's so good to have somebody supporting you all through, all through that. And it just costs you 1,100 shillings every month, which I think is affordable for 90% of the Kenyans. So if you're truly looking for help, then I think you should sign up for Our Money Year. The planner that I have helps you with the tracking. So even if you don't use that and you have a notebook, just take your notebook, have 3 lines. The first one is date. The second one is expense item. And then the third one is the amount. And just keep doing that. But don't track, because there's a mistake people make, is they just keep tracking, but you never go back to look at that data.
Why did I track?
Yes, there's a purpose to the tracking. We track, number one, to know what our lifestyle costs, right? So that when we start budgeting, we budget accurately. Don't budget with numbers. I think I spent this much. No, track first, then budget properly, right? And then the other reason we track is so that we sustain the budget. Once we have said it's 5K for this thing, let's track so that if you got 5K, we no longer spend on that thing. That's the purpose of tracking. So I do have the planner, it's readily available, but even if you can't buy it, just pick a notebook and just do it for yourself. I don't think it's complicated. It shouldn't be complicated. And you feel it is, then sign up for classes.
Yes. Sasa, you tell us how can people be able to get the book if they want.
Yes.
And also, Juliet, I know I ask this a lot. Si unipe tu watu wawili classes tuambie
wafanye nini ndo wapate.
So last time with Ray, we asked you to comment randomly. I think let's do a random comment, because sometimes I just feel like just randomly, that's the person that was meant.
Yes.
So you can comment if this would really help you, and we say if it's going to, please don't block it for another person. But if it's going to, then
tell us like the financial position, even one or two things that you have changed or directed in your life, in your finances since the year began, and how you think these classes will actually help you move forward.
Yes.
Then
and
we will pick
then
someone.
We will. So you have to keep checking for your comment to see if there is a reply there. And then now from there, we will ask you to send your contact details so that you don't get to share that in a public space. Then after you send your contact details, we'll forward them to
so
Juliet.
I'll give them access to everything we've covered to date, and then even going forward, they'll have a full ride.
I love it. Or they can join the next one.
Or the next one,
depends
absolutely,
on how they are
we'll be
feeling
doing
about it.
So if you're interested, email us at pesasavvy@gmail.com. Look me up at Instagram, at Juliet Odhiambo, and we shall be able to direct you.
Good. I appreciate you for
I really appreciate
coming
you.
through.
Yeah,
it's always a beautiful moment hanging out with you, and I hope again this episode will serve the purpose it's meant to serve.
I pray it does as well, and I thank you so much for always opening up your space for me. I appreciate it as well, and I love talking to you.
Oh, for real, me too. I know. Here's to our third episode. 10 to come. 10 and more to come. Cheers. So guys, thank you so much. Do you want to add anything? Do you want to give a parting shot maybe before I wind it up?
No, I think what I want to say is that whatever position you feel like you're finding yourself in and you're like, this is unsolvable, it is not. Every situation can be salvaged, right? So you just need to first of all acknowledge that I need help, and then look for the help. But never feel like I've done this for so long, I've budgeted for so long, I'm such a bad spender and all those things, and I'll remain there. That's not true. It's not accurate. So there's always a direction you can take that will now start restoring your financial position. And so just seek for the help, and I'm sure you will be able to move forward.
Great. And I love that you said it's not a dead sentence. We make mistakes. I also noticed this is something I struggled with, because I lost a lot of money before. That's why it's easy to say, but I used to talk about it with so much anger, because for me, the magnitude of it was something I could not let go of. But the moment I let go of it, I'm like, it's okay. See, life happens, it's the lesson. Again, as we were talking last time, it's because I gave it up without a purpose. I had not planned. It was random. It was impromptu. I didn't even know why you're giving out this, So I think sometimes people need to know it's not a dead sentence. Even if you've lost a huge chunk or even little money, don't go and track and then be like, wait, nilifanya. Of course, you're likely to beat yourself up, but you have to pick the lessons.
Pick the lesson and
move forward. Because I'm also learning, like, financial literacy is like joining the gym. The first 2 weeks you're really psyched up. You want to change everything around you. It's like the way you show up in a gym now. You want to take the photos and you want to show everyone you in the gym. But the impact comes with consistency. Consistency and discipline. It's likely to help you solve a lot of things.
You're so right. You don't know. I was just actually thinking about that. Anyone who's ever been even on a journey to be fit, to lose weight and things like that, you realize that there are some very commonalities between financial planning and it. Why are you doing it? The discipline. Do you know? Are you conscious of what you're eating and all those things that you're putting in your body? And are you conscious of how you're spending and all of those things? The tracking. All of them are very connected to each other. Anything that you're trying to perfect yourself in will require time. I think it's Malcolm Gladwell who talks about 10,000 hours.
Of course.
Yes. So that's what I was saying. One webinar will not fix it. One show with Lynn, while it might light a fire, will not fix it. Right? So you have to commit to the journey, and every time you sit to budget, every time you track, every time you're moving forward to perfection.
I love it. And again, I think for me, as I wind up the take home, if your life is disorganized, your money will be disorganized as well. Also, the correlation again with the gym and the body. If your body inside is disorganized, the results will be outside.
You will see the change.
And then if you continue being disorganized, one way or another, it's gonna show on the outside. Man, guys, I feel like I'm too smart for this.
You're so smart.
Kusma for this show. Nikikaa tu na Juliet nasikianga mi kama ni money coach. Sasa be careful of people like us. We are not experts. We are not qualified. But before EJ asks a question, you got it? Yeah. Oh boy, you're good? I think today I'm gonna hold on. EJ, come ask that. No, let me put this mic on EJ so that you guys can hear from EJ himself. Yeah, I really love EJ's voice. So have a seat. So yeah, this is EJ, guys. So it's okay. So I'm just gonna let EJ ask the question and wind up the show for us. Remember to thank our sponsors as well.
Who are the sponsors?
There.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to say hi to her.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to say hi to her?
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, Juliet.
Hi, EJ.
Yeah, so in life, Bado, you have been told you're supposed to be high quality people.
Yes.
I'm supposed to be a high quality man, a high quality woman. But you're told for you to achieve that, you have to spend money. So you have to hang up in certain places. You have to go and maybe hang out in certain hotels for you to get other high quality people who are going to help you rise. You have to wear in a certain way so people can take you in a serious way to get jobs, to get business opportunities. You have to live in a certain neighborhood. You have to drive a certain car.
Yeah.
So how are we going to measure how to be a high quality person without losing money or wasting money?
Yeah. That's a good question, I think. It's a brilliant question because it's something I see and hear a lot, especially when you hear people saying like you have to spend money to make money. Yeah. So spending money to make money means that it's not unconscious or haphazard spending. It is spending that you're doing that you can almost see the correlation between your spending and the outcome, right? So for example, if I'm a business person and I know that if I buy this pair of shoes at 100 bob, like I have to invest in that pair of shoes so that I go and sell them at 150, I'll make money. So what we need to be clear about is in this context, what is the problem, or rather the struggle, is that there's no immediate correlation because it's such a qualitative context. Like you can't measure that I got this because I was here. You can't measure the financial implication of it, but you can measure the spending, right, from your end, but you can't measure the return on investment, almost as if you can measure it. So first of all, I think the first thing I would say is to define what high quality is properly, and what exactly you're looking for, and identify the very specific people. Don't just do it haphazardly. These kind of people usually hang out here, so I'll just go there. No, first of all, identify that avatar of the kind of person you're looking for or looking to become like, right? So that you're more targeted. Number two, don't go from 0 to 100. 1 minute you're living in Huruma and you move to Karen without even thinking about it. I think growth, there's the idea or the concept of growth, it happens over time. So you can elevate yourself pole pole, right? Consciously, but also in a way that now your finances can also accommodate, and you keep increasing as your income also increases. I think that's one thing that can help to bring a balance, so that you know, if I push myself, this is the limit I can push financially, right? Without now being financially unhealthy, right? Getting myself to negative. So if it means I buy myself a suit, I won't now invest in 5 suits every month when I can't afford it. I'll buy 1 suit every month, for example, because I planned and I budgeted and I bought a suit, because it then reflects on how people perceive me and see me, because that's the investment you want to make. If it means that I go to have coffee in a certain place, like what can my budget allow, and then you consciously do that. If it means having lunch in this restaurant every month, or being part, like I feel like what would be a really good investment would probably becoming part of a club or something, or a professional network. That would be of what you're trying to pursue, first of all. So that clarity will then tell you, this is the one I should join and not this one. Don't just throw yourself everywhere. Be strategic about that, and then do it consciously so that you allow your budget to grow with you as if you see there's an implication in terms of the return on investment is actually growing, then you can invest more.
Okay.
But if you can't see the correlation, like I went and hung out in this place for a whole month, but there's negative impact on my finances, that can be problematic. It would mean that you need to restructure, relook that. And then I feel like probably defining high quality in a more structured way, you might realize it might not even be financially, it might not require financial implication. It could mean, let me offer my service for free. Like, I know I can do this, and this person, they need this service. So I'll be in their environment. I'll be in a place where they can see me and I'm offering something they want. And they're seeing my value. And just doing that can also help you, and it doesn't have to cost you much. So I think the problem is automatically translating it to mean that I have to buy these suits and I have to be in these places all the time and spending this much money. But you can be creative in how you get into that space, right? And grow pole pole. I think that's what I would say. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Lynn?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Hakuna
pressure. Just be conscious, be strategic, be creative, and then be targeted. Be targeted, and also be sure to measure what's the return on investment. Because I'm doing all of these things. Does it result in the kind of in I'm looking for? First of all, you also need to know am I looking for a job? Am I looking for deals? Am I looking for, so that when it happens, then you can actually say, it resulted in something. Yeah.
Okay.
Happy?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm okay. Okay.
Wind up.
The small son,
Golden dreams.
Okay, golden dreams.
Yeah.
Okay, you've never done this. Well, thank you for staying tuned in our today's episode, and we would like to appreciate our sponsor for today. That's the Golden Dreams Land Limited. Remember to get yourself a piece of land either in Matu, Makutano, Malindi, or Masinga, and get something for your children or your family. You know, you're making generational wealth. Today we are having a conversation about money habits with Coach Juliet, and even with having good money habits, you can now invest in something good like the pieces of land from Golden Dreams. Yeah, and from everybody who has made this episode a success, from the production team, Muga and Scholar, we thank you, and to today's host, Lynn Ngugi. See you tomorrow.
Golden Dreams Land and Properties Limited, the leading real estate company in title deed issuance, welcomes you to Joy Gardens, Masinga. Just 10 minutes drive from Masinga town. Secure a 50 by 100 plot for only 230,000 cash price. In Success Gardens, Makutano Phase 3, 50 by 100 plots are available for 750,000 cash price. All plots are close to social amenities with 98% neighborhood development, and prices are inclusive of title deed. Book your site visit now by calling 0726 004455 or 0718 004455. Golden Dreams Land and Properties Limited. Title deed is our DNA.